welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you my January wrap-up. In January, I read 3 novels and 10 volumes of manga. You may wonder why I'm reading so much manga, and it actually has something to do with the fact that I have a ton of it out from the library. I like to read manga that my daughter likes to read so that we have something to discuss, and there are series that we are both enjoying together as well. So I'm enjoying reading quite a bit of manga at the moment. I'm still not quite back into my novel reading. You may know that at the end of 2016 I was kind of in a reading slump. Just didn't feel like reading. I was still reading manga, but I didn't feel like reading novels. So I'm still kind of trying to get back into reading novels, and I think 3 novels for the month of January is not a bad number at all. So let's just get started. I will go through the novels first and then manga at the end of the video. The first novel I read was the first book in the Lucy Stone mystery series by Leslie Meyer, which was Mistletoe Murder. I had actually started this in December. It was one of my book club's picks for December. My book club, if you didn't know, is the first in a series, Cozy Mystery Book Club, or hashtag Book One Cozy's Club. So we only read first books in Cozy Mystery series. So this was one of the picks for December. Obviously, from the title, it's got some kind of a Christmassy theme. This one does take place during the holiday season. We follow our main character, Lucy Stone, and she works for a mail order company. Basically what her shift entails is she goes into work, she sits down at like a cubicle and answers called in orders. And so one night on her break, she goes out to get a bit of fresh air to kind of wake herself up because she does work an overnight shift, and finds the car of one of the owners of the company still in the company parking lot. And there is a hose that is connected from the exhaust pipe into the car. So she runs over and tries to save him, but he has already succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning. She really doesn't feel like he would have been the type to kill himself. Some big things just happened in his life, things that he wouldn't have gone after if he was planning to kill himself. So she feels like there's something worth investigating, and as in most cozy mysteries, she decides to do a little bit of sleuthing herself, and the story goes from there. This was actually a reread for me. I read it like 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember enjoying it but not enjoying it like a lot. I think I had given it 3 stars the first time that I had read it, and I found that I enjoyed the story more this time around. I picked up on more things, like kind of the banter that she had back and forth with some of the employees that she worked with, and as well as little things between Lucy and her husband. I think for a first book in a series, this one did a good job of kind of easing you into the series. Now, like I said, this was a reread. I haven't actually continued into other books in this series, but I enjoyed this one to the point where I'm really interested in seeing how she develops her sleuthing abilities and what kinds of things that she's going to get into in other subsequent novels in the series. One thing I did find especially interesting is that at the beginning of every chapter there was like a little description of something that was sold in their mail order catalog. And though it didn't really tie into the storyline itself, I felt that it tied into what Lucy did as a job, and because the story revolved around the death of the owner of this company, I thought that really brought you back into kind of the day-to-day of what the company was about. and what kind of things Lucy sold during her job. I ended up giving my reread of this book 4 stars, and like I said, I will be continuing into other books in this series hopefully soon. This kind of ties into something that I had set myself as a goal for 2017 as well, which was to read up into the holiday installments in several of the Cozy Mystery series that I had started, because during December I was kind of at a loss for holiday reads, and this particular series has several holiday themed installments, so I'm looking forward to that. The next novel that I finished was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is the 4th installment in the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I'm sure you all know what this is about. I had started this again in December for the Harry Christmas to You Readathon, and this, I have to say, is my favorite installment in this series. I have read this one the most number of times. I think it's coming in at like 4 or 5. I don't know for certain because I did start reading the series and rereading as you do before I even knew about Goodreads. I don't know what it is about this installment that makes it my favorite of the series. I don't know if it's that I feel like our trio of friends kind of deal with their first big fight and kind of work through that, or if it's just the excitement around things that are going on at the school during this term. There's just something about this installment that makes me read it over and over and over again, and suffice it to say that because this is my favorite installment in this series, the movie of this installment disappointed me a lot. I'm not going to go into detail about what disappointed me, but I mean, it comes in at 734 pages. Obviously, they couldn't fit everything in, but things that I wanted to see were cut out of the movie. So, although I enjoyed the movie, I was probably the most disappointed with it. One other thing to note is that I'm not a really emotional reader. It takes a lot to even bring a tear to my eye when either reading stories or even watching them. I am not very emotional when it comes to things like that. But this book never fails to bring a tear to my eye at least twice. There are 2 scenes in this book that always make me tear up, and I can't tell you what they are, because that'll give stuff away, but this one, at least twice, always brings a tear to my eye. So, I really enjoyed being in this world again. I loved rereading this installment. Obviously, this book is falling apart, because we've read it so much. Not only myself, but my mother, and my daughter is finally getting through the series as well. I look forward to rereading the other installments in this series. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. The last novel I read in the month of January was The Forgotten Girls by Sarah Bladel. This is actually the 4th book in the Louise Rick series. Now, you probably know that I do not like reading books out of order. And I have not read any other books in this series besides this one. Why did I pick it up? Well, Barnes & Noble every month has what they call a serial read. It is something that they offer on their Nook app, and basically at the beginning of every month there is a new book, and they release that book a couple chapters a day until the book has been fully released, and then you have the entire month to read the book. So you can either read it as they release the chapters, or if you read really fast, you can wait until they release the whole thing and then go through and read it. When I saw this book up for the month of January, there was the summary, and it said it was part of a series, but it didn't say what number it was. And I think I had read somewhere that it was the first book in a spin-off. I'm okay with reading first books in a spin-off, because normally that just touches on characters from another or the prior series, and then it continues with, other characters. So that's why I decided to go ahead and read it. From the first chapter, I was hooked. This story follows Louise Rick, and she has just been made the head of this new department that specializes in missing persons files. So she's kind of the only one in the department right now. She's trying to build her team, but this case falls on their desk. And it is a woman who has been severely disfigured. She had been found dead in the forest, and nobody knows who she is. And so it has become Louise's department's kind of first case. Now, as I said, Louise is still trying to put her team together. She has an idea of who she wants, but an executive decision is made, and she is assigned this one dude named Ika. I should probably mention that this book or series takes place in Denmark. So she obviously is unhappy because Ika was not someone that she wanted or had on her list of people to work with. She has no idea about this guy. Top it off, his first impression is not great. So she's forced to work with this guy and work this case. While trying to uncover who this woman is, she thinks that it's going to be a pretty easy solve because of this woman's disfigurement. Obviously, not a lot of people are going to have this particular disfigurement, but it turns out that it's not that easy to figure out who this victim is. And as her and Ika investigate, there are twists and turns in this story, and I just was enthralled. I couldn't wait to get back to this story every time I had to stop reading it. I did end up picking up a copy of the audiobook because as I started reading, from the very beginning, I knew I was going to have issues with pronunciation of the names. And so I really wanted to have the correct pronunciation in my head. So I did borrow a copy of the audiobook. Just FYI, I do not recommend the audiobook if you're going to listen to it on a whole. If you are interested in knowing how to pronounce some of the characters' names correctly, I would definitely recommend having the audiobook as an aid, but don't listen to the whole thing. My gripe with it is that these characters are supposed to be in Denmark. This story takes place in Denmark. So I expected to have Danish accents. Well, that's not what the audiobook gives you. The audiobook gives you what I think, and I am no expert on accents, but it sounded like an American Southern accent. A couple of the characters came across with American Southern accents, and a couple of the characters had Irish accents. Now, okay, they could have those accents, but it really took me out of the story. I could not, stay in what I pictured in my head as Denmark. The views I was getting was like in America or in Ireland, not in Denmark. So that's a major negative thing I have to say about the audiobook. But the story, I loved the story. The mystery part of it, the investigative part of it. After being in such a kind of not wanting to read mode, to have a book that just made you want to pick it up at any free time that I had, I really enjoyed this book. I did end up giving it 4 stars. This book does deal with mental illness. It does talk about a mental illness facility. There is rape in this story. There is a scene in this book where a victim of rape is recounting her experience. So, just so you know, those things are included as part of this story. But I found this book so interesting. I am definitely going to go back and read from the beginning. Though, I have to say that while I was reading this book, I had no idea that it was in the middle of a series. Never once did I question if there were other books that I hadn't read. So, I think that is a major plus for this book. I'm really looking forward to more of the books in this series. It definitely is right down my alley as far as crime fiction. And I look forward to more investigative cases with Louise and Aika. Okay, so now on to the manga. I read 4 volumes of Noragami by Adachi Toka. I read volumes 13, 14, 15, and 16. I am still really enjoying this one. Again, this one follows the very, very minor god Yato as he kind of grows not only as a person but as a god, and gave all of those 4 stars. Then I started a new series, which was Black Butler. This one is by Yana Toboso. I actually watched the whole first season of Black Butler a couple years ago. Really enjoyed it. This one is about a demon butler, and he is taking care of the young heir to the Phantom Hive estate, I guess you would say. His name is Ciel. I think he's about 12 years old. He is an orphan. Both of his parents were killed in an accident, and Sebastian, who is his butler, is kind of his main caretaker. There are also 3 other, servants. I don't like that word, servants, but people that help run the household that live in his mansion. But Sebastian is the title character, the Black Butler. The first couple installments in this series deal with Jack the Ripper storyline, and I do find the Jack the Ripper story interesting. But it was very close. The story in this manga was very close to what I had watched in the anime. And so I'm not sure if I want to continue with this manga. At least not through what I've already seen. I'm going to give it another couple volumes to see if there are any major differences or things that I don't remember being in the anime. Then I will probably continue with the manga. Otherwise, I am probably going to skip ahead to the story that I'm not familiar with in this series. But as of right now, I still enjoyed it as a read, and I ended up giving both of these volumes 4 stars. Then I picked up another new series. This one is Are You Alice? This one is by Ai Ninomiya. This is a manga which is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. In this one, Alice is a boy. At the beginning of the story, he is wandering around Wonderland, and it's kind of suggested to him that his name is Alice, and so he becomes Alice. Well, in this story, there are like 800 something previous Alices. I don't quite remember what the number is, but it's several hundred. He's numbered several hundred down the line. And the prior Alices are kind of like ghosts. I don't know how to explain them. But once he becomes Alice, the prior Alices try to get him because they want to be Alice again. And I'm not sure why each of them failed to stay as Alice, but they basically all want to become Alice again. And there are your, typical characters: the White Rabbit, the Red Queen, the Cheshire Cat. They all make appearances, but not as their like normal forms. They are people in this story. I'm not quite sure what else to say about this one, because I am still not quite clear what the like main story on this one is, besides the fact that it's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to give it another couple volumes as well. I have not had too much success with Alice in Wonderland retellings in manga. So I don't know that Alice in Wonderland retellings are my cup of tea. So yeah, I'm going to give this one another couple volumes and see if it can draw me in. And I ended up giving this one 3 stars each volume, so volumes 1 and 2. Then I finished up with volumes 34 and 35 of Fairy Tail by Hiro Mashima. This, I've been reading for a while now. I'm still really enjoying it. We're still in the Wizard Games where I told you I was the last time. Really interesting things are happening, and I am trying to catch up with the anime, but where I am reading right now and where the anime is are two different things. Where the anime is, there are filler episodes, and so things that are not in the manga are being portrayed in the anime. So I kind of like that. It's refreshing. I don't like to really read manga that I have already watched, which I'm sure you picked up from what I was saying about Black Butler. I've also said that about other series that I had read in the past, like Assassination Classroom, which I stopped reading as well because it was too similar to the manga. But because I'm kind of reading in tandem with what I'm watching, it's still an enjoyable experience for me to be reading the manga volumes. And so I ended up giving these 2 volumes 4 stars as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the Wizard Games finish up and which guild reigns supreme. So that completes all of the things that I read in January. I think I am kind of coming out of my reading slump. I am definitely reading more as far as novels on my plate right now. I have several novels that I'm reading at the moment at the same time. But I am making progress through each one. So I think I am definitely on my way out of that reading slump. Anyway, let me know if you've read any of these. One other thing I should probably mention is I am filming in a different area. I got these bookcases when my company moved offices recently. So I'm trying out this new filming setup. Let me know what you think of it. And I also got a different lamp for lighting, and I think based off what I can see, it's pretty good. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I hope you're all doing great. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.